Good afternoon all, happy Friday, and welcome to today's Civil Designer Software Open Classroom. I trust everyone is safe and well. Today we welcome back Andrew Cole for our last sheetfile class in our week-long mini-series focusing on Civil Designer's plot routine and drawing production tools. Please remember, all our past webinars are hosted on our website, www.civildesigner.com, in the Services section under FAQ videos. As always, please feel free to use the text chat service in your GoToWebinar floating dialog to ask us any questions you may have during Andrew's presentation. Good afternoon, Andrew, and please take it away.
Good day, everyone. In today's webinar, we're still looking at the sheet files, the Civil Designer plot templates. And in today's webinar, I'll be covering the composite sheet files. The composite sheet file gives you any combination of a plan view, a long section view, as well as cross sections in your plotted drawing. Okay, I'm changing to the sheet file editor so that we can have a look at the road composite sheet file. And here you can see the defined road long section region, the plan area with the plan tables, and then your cross section region. I'm going back to the roads project so we can run a plot routine with our road composite sheet file. So if I go to plot generate, and I've already selected the road composite sheet file, I'm going to create dynamic paper space layouts that update as you change your design. I'm doing about 5 kilometers of this road. Horizontal scale, I'm going to leave it 1000. And then just next and next. Okay, this would be the cross-section setup dialog. You can set your vertical, horizontal scales and your offset limits for your cross sections. You can also set a cross section interval if you don't want to plot every cross section in your road design. We also give you an option to plot your skew sections only. Okay, I'm going to keep these predefined plot areas and just use the road PI and curve list. Okay, so just running through the plot routine. And then you can see the long section region, your plan region at the top here, and then your road cross sections. Just show you another one further along the design. Once again, your long section, your plan region, and your cross section. I'm just going to zoom in at the bottom here just to show you your road long section detail. You can see the cross sections off to the left there, which you can also customize the data that you'd like to display in the cross sections. There's your plan view with those tables, the curve detail tables. I'm going to be moving back to the sheet file editor. I'm just going to go back to the drawing first, back to the drawing tab to show you that I'm changing from the drawing, the project drawing, to the sheet file editor application. Okay. Just want to show you the other composite sheet file that we do have. We have a water composite long section sheet file. So it's got your water long section data at the bottom here. And then we've also got a plan region at the top with the built-in north sign. If I just zoom in over here, you can see the water schedule. Recently, we've added quite a few additional water tables. So if I zoom in the top left, you can see the water connections, the air and scour valves are now added as new tables. And then we've also got the water street taps, your standpipes, your water hydrants, and your water valve tables as well. I'm going to be using the Control F12 shortcut just to load or open up another sheet file, and I'm opening up the Stormwater Stormwater long section sheet file. So storm long section. I'm just going to use this as my example sheet file today. So it could be a road, a water, a sewer long section that you want to convert to a composite sheet file. So we're going to be adding a plan region on the top over there to this stormwater long section sheet file. Okay, so we've already got the long section at the bottom, but we need the plan area at the top over here. Okay, I'm just going to use that selection cycling just to select the long section region. So currently the long section region is allowing for 2 long section plots, and you can see the coordinates there, 65 at the bottom left, and then 788 and 1100 at the top right. That coordinate system, if you're trying to figure out where you are, you can always just do a coordinate jump even in the sheet file editor. So I'm just using the U shortcut key. I'm going to type in that 0x and then the 65y and enter. And just look where the x is down at the bottom if I press the highlighting of the coordinate position. Let me try the top right. So there I'm going to go 1100 as the x coordinate, and then tab through to the y coordinate, which is that 788, and then just look where the x is to highlight the cursor position. You could also just jump to the points if you're looking down at the bottom of your screen to the bottom right, where you have the normal coordinate indicator down at the bottom there. You can see now if you keep your eyes down there and I jump, you'd be able to pick up which coordinates are which. I'm just going to save my new sheet file with a different name. So this is going to be my stormwater long section and plan sheet file. Okay. So this stormwater long section sheet file, the default allows for 2 long sections to be plotted. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep the one, and then we're going to add a plan region at the top. So I'm just selecting the long section region to show you. So it's defined for the whole A0 sheet. I'm just going to move it down to the middle of the page, and then we're going to confine the long section to that region. And then the top region we're going to use as our plan region. Okay, so long section would be at the bottom, and I want to maximize or optimize this area for the long section at the bottom. So I'm going to move that bottom left hand corner of the long section detail area into the bottom left hand corner. Okay, so if we just zoom in over there, so I'm just going to put in some geometry construction lines so that I can actually measure how much we need to move the long section region, or at least this detail area. So I'm just making geometry. That make geometry is always a nice function to use, just to create geometry wherever there's existing CAD. Okay, so I want to measure. I'm just going to use the Q shortcut function to measure, and I want to measure vertically how much we need to move that down the details section. So it's 35 millimeters on our A0 sheet, which in the sheet file editor, if you go to sheet file settings, that would equate to 350 tenths of a millimeter. So in the long section layout, I'm just going to press F1 to launch the help file. So we can have a closer look at these distances that we're working with. I think I'm just going to use the magnifier just to have a closer look. So we're going to be concerned with that A distance, which is the vertical first frame spacing from the bottom of the long section region to the start of the origin point, that start of the section area. And then we're also looking at the C distance, the horizontal spacing, so the distance from the left edge of the long section region to that origin point. Okay, I'm just going to close the magnifier and minimize the help file for now. And then we're going to have to change that first frame spacing. So it's the 1850 less the 350, which is the 35 in tenths of a millimeter. So I'm making that 1500. Okay, and then we have to look at the horizontal spacing distance that we're going to have to adjust. So I'm going to just do a Q once again, just to measure from that point to that point. So it's 20 millimeters, which in tenths of a millimeter inside the sheet file would equate to 200 tenths of a millimeter. So going back to that long section layout, and we're looking at the horizontal spacing. So I'm going to subtract 200 tenths of a millimeter off that 1000, so make it 800, just to move that whole long section detail area across onto the long section region. I'm just going to delete all geometry for now as well. Close my output window. So currently we don't have a separator between the long section and the plan area where we want to position our plan area on top here. So let me just put in a geometry line. I'm just going to make geometry. So even though it looks like we've got a CAD entity there, it's actually just the long section that's displaying the long section region. You can see if I select. So if I move this point of the long section region down, you can see there wasn't actually a CAD entity over there. So I'm just going to draw global lines, just to draw in a line to separate the long section region from the plan region. Okay, I can remove that geometry so you can see it, delete all geometry, and there's my separating line. I can just move the long section region up again. But what about the actual section area? How would I increase that and sort of optimize that whole space? We're going to have to measure the height and the horizontal distance to move that long section area across and up to the right. So I'm just going to measure vertically from my divider line to the top of the section area. So that's 226.5 millimeters, which in the sheet file settings, let's go to sheet file settings, the long section layout again. That would be the section area height and width that we're looking at. So in this case, the section area height. And remember, this now is in tenths of a millimeter. So that section area height, I'm going to make that 2265. Okay, so 226.5 multiplied by the 10 for the tenths of a millimeter. So that would have moved it up right up to my divider line. And then what about the horizontal left to right distance? So I'm just going to measure once again Q from that top left corner of the long section area to the top right hand corner that I want to move it to, and that distance is 1020 millimeters. So I'm going to have to change that in the long section layout. So remember, tenths of a millimeter again, so long section area width is going to be 10,200. Okay. Alright, so you can see it's moved to that right edge now. So I think that's fine for the long section. You could make some additional changes. You could load another title block, for example. So you could add some additional text, move text around. I'm just going to draw in my plan region. So draw region, plan region from the top left to this bottom right corner over there. I've got my plan region, and then I also would like to load in a north sign. So I'm going to go to File, Load Drawing, just a normal CAD drawing. It's asking me for the reference insert point. Just going to use that normal north sign 10 that I used before, and then just file save it. Finally, I just want to show you how to populate the stormwater schedule table. So in the plan storm list, I would have to copy all this information from the normal plan sheet file, and I copied it to Excel in this case, and then just populated this list manually. So you basically would need to do that, copying it to another document and then inputting all this information yourself. And then the storms list labels, the same thing, you'd have to populate all these cells as well. Okay, so you could read in all that information. Generally, it's easier if you have got one of our existing sheet files that have already got the tables built in to start customizing those. Okay, so hopefully you guys have learned quite a bit this week with the sheet file webinars. I just want to show you, for the guys that are up to date with their software, we have been adding quite a few new composite sheet files. So you have got, for example, plans with multiple regions. You've got road composite sheet files, just a plan and a long section area. We've got the road long section with the sewer and stormwater long sections, those road slaved sheet files, and then we've also got some water composite sheet files that have been added as well. So all the guys that are up to date with their software would have access to those newer sheet files. Okay, so wishing you all the best with your sheet file editing, and have a good weekend. Cheers.
Thank you for your double shift this week, Andrew. And thank you to all of those who attended today, plus those who attended the full week-long sheet file mini-series. Please join us next week when we return to our standard program, which starts with survey and terrain. Have a great afternoon, and goodbye for now.